Heating. According to the standards of practice, the inspector shall inspect the heating system using normal operating controls. Most HVAC, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning systems in houses are relatively simple in design and operation. They consist of 4 components: controls, fuel supply, heating or cooling unit, and distribution system. The adequacy of heating and cooling is often quite subjective and depends upon occupant perceptions that are affected by the distribution of air. The adequacy of heating and cooling is often quite subjective and depends upon occupant perceptions that are affected by the distribution of air, the location of return air vents, air velocity, the sound of the system in operation, and similar characteristics. HVAC adequacy is not within the scope of a home inspection. Residential HVAC controls consist of 1 or more thermostats and a master shutoff switch from the heating or cooling unit. Thermostats are temperature-sensitive switches that automatically control the heating or cooling system. Thermostats and shutoff switches are considered normal operating controls. According to the standards of practice, the inspector shall describe the location of the thermostat for the heating system, the energy source, and the heating method. When inspecting a boiler or furnace, an inspector should operate it only using its normal controls, such as the thermostat. The home inspector is not required to remove fixed appliance cabinetry. Energy source. Oil-fired and gas-fired furnaces and boilers provide heat to the majority of houses. Such fuel-burning units, whether they are part of a warm air or a hot water system, should be serviced, maintained, and inspected regularly. No fuel-burning unit should be located directly off sleeping areas or close to combustible materials. I feel like I need to check on my water heater. Okay. We have an inspection image. And an image. All right, 3, 2, 1. Electric-resistant heating elements are commonly used in heat pump systems, wall heaters, radiant wall and ceiling panels, and baseboard heaters. They are less frequently used as a heat source for central warm air or hot water systems. Such heating devices require service, maintenance, and routine inspections. Hot water heating systems, like warm air systems, include 2 types: forced or hydronic, and gravity. Gravity systems are sometimes found in older houses, but in most cases, such systems have been replaced or converted to a forced hot water system. Heating and cooling method. There are 2 types of warm air heating systems: forced air and gravity. Gravity systems are occasionally still found in older houses, but most gravity systems have been replaced or converted to forced air. Most forced air systems use natural gas or fuel oil as the energy source, but some systems use electric resistance heaters or heat pumps. The circulation blower and air distribution ductwork for electrical resistance heating systems and heat pumps are identical to those of gas-fired and oil-fired warm air systems and should be regularly serviced, maintained, and inspected. The distribution system, or heating and cooling method, may be made up of supply and return ducts, filters, dampers, and registers. Supply and return ducts may be made of sheet metal, fiberglass, or other materials. Inspect the ducts for open joints and possible air leakage areas wherever the ducts are exposed. It is recommended that ducts could be cleaned every 5 years. Cleaning ducts is part of maintaining a healthy home. There should be no openings in return ducts in the same room as a combustion furnace. According to the standards of practice, the inspector shall report as in need of correction any heating system that did not operate, and if the heating system was deemed inaccessible. The home inspector is required to make note in the report of any limitations to the evaluation of the system. Such notes may include that the furnace did not turn on and operate, the mechanical room was locked, or access to the boiler was blocked by personal storage items. According to the standards of practice, the inspector is not required to A. Inspect, measure, or evaluate the interior of flues or chimneys, fire chambers, heat exchangers, combustion air systems, fresh air intakes, makeup air, humidifiers, dehumidifiers, electronic air filters, geothermal systems, or solar heating systems. Or B, the inspector is not required to inspect fuel tanks or underground or concealed fuel supply systems. B, inspect fuel tanks or underground or concealed fuel supply systems. C, determine the uniformity, temperature, flow, balance, distribution, size, capacity, BTU, or supply adequacy of the heating system. D, light or ignite pilot flames. E, activate heating, heat pump systems, or other heating systems when ambient temperatures or other circumstances are not conducive to safe operation or may damage the equipment. F, override electronic thermostats. G, evaluate fuel quality. H, verify thermostat calibration, heat anticipation, or automatic setbacks, timers, programs, or clocks. I, measure or calculate the air for combustion, ventilation, or dilution of flue gases for appliances. Again, the inspector is not required to do any of those things. While most inspectors will attempt to give a client as much information as possible about the heating system, it is often the situation that its full evaluation is beyond the standards of practice or the expected knowledge or capabilities of home inspectors. Underground fuel tanks are, by definition, not readily accessible, but their presence should be reported if there were observed indications, such as the tank fill and vent pipes. If the presence of an underground fuel storage tank is observed, the home inspector could note that in the inspection report and recommend a specialist to further evaluate. Any analysis of the adequacy or efficiency of a heating unit and its distribution is technically beyond most home inspectors' ability. A heating system's performance should be evaluated by trained and/or licensed personnel. Most home inspectors check the service tag on the heating and cooling system. If there has not been any service on the system within the past 12 months, then service and further evaluation is recommended. Any system should be operated only in its normal environment, and care should be taken not to damage any system or control by inappropriate use. The inspector should return all controls to their previous settings after completing the inspection. The home inspector is not required to measure or calculate the air for combustion, ventilation, or dilution of flue gases for appliances. HVAC inspection training. InterNACHI has many courses on how to inspect HVAC systems and components. Please visit our education page at nachi.org/education and search HVAC.